Oh, great. We're on an island again. And we got more zombies. Oh, zombie game? Yeah, sure. I'd love to play a zombie game, but while we're giving things away, since you're a zombie, I got something for you too.
To 3 doses.
Hey guys, I got a little sidetracked on the way home and had something I had to leave in my shower tub. We're talking about Dead Island Riptide today.
Your crew won't be making movies anymore. They're dead.
Fuck.
So Dead Island Riptide was one that I just really didn't get into after the first game. I just kind of sat silent for a while waiting on Dead Island 2, and with the recent announcement of it coming out, I figured, why not play Riptide? Dead Island Riptide is basically like Dead Island 1.5. It's not quite a sequel, but it's got more content than, say, your normal expansion would have. Riptide takes place directly after the events of the first game, and if you haven't played them, you don't need to worry because they'll summarize everything for you in a quick flashback sequence.
The army tried to contain the infection, but they were bloody useless.
You're getting off of the chopper that you escaped from the end of the first game, and then the military immediately handcuffs you and everything goes wrong. A new outbreak starts upon the ship. This is where you'll meet John, another immune character, and then the ship crashes. You wake up on the island, you meet Harlow, another immune character. Dead Island Riptide starts.
But it's really not safe here on the beach.
On the first game, you were very much immune to the virus, and in Riptide, they put an emphasis on the immunity of your characters and what long-term effects could happen as a result of you being immune. Will you get some kind of special powers from it? Will you eventually turn as a result of having this temporary immunity? Is there a cure? Is there some way to transfer this? And this, along with you just leading the other survivors you meet to safety, is the driving vehicle for the storyline.
You'll find other survivors there. Take this. In the meantime, I'll see if anyone else washed up on the beach.
While you're on that cargo ship, you pretty much also meet the villain of the game, Serpo, this corporate guy who's kind of running and pulling the strings behind the scenes. You're gonna do what I say and you're not gonna report this to your boss because I'm the one that's paying your boss's bills. That kind of story. Riptide won't be winning any awards for its storytelling, but the real star of the show is going to be the island that you're on. Jumping into Riptide, and also one of the reasons I didn't really play Riptide to begin with in the beginning was that I was afraid it would just be a boring environment. Like, how do you top the original setting of the first game? The whole selling point is this resort. And while I do think it's really hard to top that resort setting, I think I underestimated Riptide because the environment's actually pretty cool. Oh, that zombie just threw a sword at me. You got this beautiful island with mountains, waterfalls, and connecting hub areas where you'll go from point to point moving your survivor group. You'll find yourself interacting with locals that have basically just been trying to make do since this whole outbreak thing happened, and some of them have a real disdain for people coming to the island, bringing this plague with them.
All you immunes are getting a little crazy. How? What the hell are you saying?
You don't trust us now? Well, maybe. We don't fucking trust you.
Riptide takes place in 2 locations, one being this island with its own little areas in it, like the village of Halai, the dogs, the jungle. And then you also have the city of Jefferson, which in my opinion is leaps and bounds better than the first city in the original Dead Island. I think this one has a lot more character to it, and it's just a little bit more fun to explore. And the driving force for you visiting all of these areas is that you're moving your survivors from campsite to campsite. This is very much a story of survival. It's not too campy or silly, even though you'll find a lot of those elements sprinkled throughout the game, whether they're intentional or not. You also travel through what could be considered your obligatory sewer section in this game, but it's actually repurposed World War II bunker tunnel things, which kept it a little more interesting, and they also didn't overstay their welcome. It was a pretty quick section, so I can't really complain about it.
Oh, this is fucking useless. I'm ruined.
But all in all, I think the environment's pretty enjoyable. Decent amount of verticality, stuff to explore, vehicles to drive. And on that note, when it comes to the driving and the gameplay, it's basically identical to the first game. They add a few new weapons and things here and there, but for all intents and purposes, it's exactly the same. If you played Dead Island 1, you can actually import your character into this one depending on the platform you play on. It can be played single player or in co-op, and if you're gonna play this, I highly recommend the co-op. It's so much more fun. I actually had 2 Xboxes to do some local co-op with a friend and my girlfriend, and it was a pretty good time, to be honest with you. If the environment in Riptide is the star of the show, then secondary to that obviously has to be the gameplay, and they bring back that melee first shooting secondary RPG influenced gameplay that you either loved or hated from the first game. This game has some RPG influenced elements to it. You got skill trees that you can upgrade that give you new abilities as you progress. When you first start the game, you can choose to have a survivor build or like a combat first build, and your skill tree will have extra attributes added to it when you start the game. Or you can just have a clean balanced stat build at the beginning of the game and then build it as you see fit depending on how you like to play. And this is again going to be the dumbest comparison I can make like it was in the first game, but this is basically the Borderlands of zombie games, and I'm gonna say that because I know it's gonna piss somebody off. Yeah, tonally, story, and gameplay wise, this basically has absolutely nothing to do with Borderlands, but that same fundamental aspect of killing things, gaining XP, leveling up, and grinding is basically what you do in both games. So if you kind of like that style of gameplay in games like Borderlands, then you might notice a few of those cues in this. This is a total first-person game, and you may have noticed this by now, but melee combat is definitely the primary in this game. You got a lot of different sharp and blunt weapons of different varieties. I would say the melee combat is 90% of the game. The gunplay in Riptide is just okay. There's nothing to write home about. It's very much just something that exists just to kind of be there. It's serviceable and it works, but it just lacks that punch that makes it really fun or memorable. This isn't getting me anywhere. It's like I'm shooting him with a Nerf gun or something. That being said, Riptide does add a couple of projectile guns in the game, like a nail gun, a harpoon, and those are much more fun. I had a blast with the nail gun. But when it comes to that bullet-based variety, I just really couldn't be bothered to care for it. But when it comes to the gameplay overall, that gameplay loop of just hunting for materials and money to go buy certain parts from a vendor and then take some duct tape and strap on a saw blade to a bat, or taking some barbed wire and a car battery to a katana to electrify it is just some of the most satisfying things you can do in a game like this. It's really fun, and again, it's just one of the unique features about Dead Island. Oh no! Oh god, I'm surrounded, and my mod won't let me shut the gun. Oh, why did I tape a sword to a gun? That was so stupid. Would you ever actually do something like this in real life? Probably not, but the idea of it is really cool, and it sounds like it would be a fun way to knock some zombies out. Riptide allows you to do that. Yeah, I was just thinking this gun is pretty powerful, but you know what would make it even better? A sword on it. I'll be right back. Give me 1 second. So I'm a zombie now. So yeah, all that item looting that you're doing will carry over into the side quest. You might find a guy in the fetal position looking for some white powder. That's a real side quest in the game.
White powder, the kind you know, put up your nose.
So as you're gathering supplies, you're coming across other survivors that need help. Maybe they want you to gather some supplies, and over time they'll just give you more money for whatever you find. Or you can find supplies that you can sell at your base camp. There'll be multiple hub areas or base camps in the game, and this is where you'll pick up your side and main quests. And one thing that's really worth mentioning here is that they fixed a big issue that I had with the first game, that being that you actually see your survivor teammates in the world with you when you're playing. Whether you're in co-op or single player, when you're at the base camp, there'll actually be the other members at your party there. Now you're actually able to see Sam B and Logan chatting about what's going on in the world while you're playing the game. Oh yeah, this is so much better than just using one or the other. And it doesn't just stop at them standing there and having a little bit of dialogue. There's actually sections in the game where you'll have to fend off your base camp from zombies. This typically seems to happen right before an area change or right when you get to the camp. So you'll be barricading up the doors and the windows and you'll have to fend off the waves of zombies until it all cools down. Now there's actually sections in the game where you can fight alongside your teammates, and it's really cool. It gives a little bit more meaning to the cooperation in the story. Granted, yeah, it would have been cool to actually have them be able to follow you around and fight with you as the story progressed if you were playing by yourself, but that would have obviously taken significantly more effort.
Now I owe you something, motherfucker.
It is cool, however, it is a little bit easy. It goes on and on and on, and you start to realize that the zombies just kind of favor attacking the AI, and the AI is never in too much danger, so you're able to fend them off pretty easy. They were a bit repetitive because they kind of overuse these. You do it a lot throughout the story, and the first couple of times it's cool, but it starts to overstay its welcome. If you just had like half as many sections where this happened and it was about half the length of time to progress through it, would have been a little bit better. And when it comes to those quests, like I said, the story's nothing to write home about. It's usually just your generic fetch quest, go get this item, bring it back. But they tie it into the story very well. Everything you do, whether it's a main quest or a side quest, the side quest can actually feel like it's a main quest at times. So it's a little bit more rewarding than your general open world game where you got 50 boxes to check off and it's just your generic fetch quest. It actually kind of feels like you're doing something meaningful.
If you bring us the right supplies, you can take advantage of our talents too.
All in all, I'd say when it comes to the quest and the story, it's pretty good. It's serviceable enough up until the end, where I think the ending just completely sucks. If you want to know what that is, I'll play it at the end of the video. But what really holds the game together, obviously, is the gameplay. It's really fun. The gameplay loop is addicting, and they've obviously designed it for you to play through the game with multiple characters. Everybody has their own unique attributes. While Sam B's over here good with heavy blunt weapons, you might have Logan over here good with throwables. So everybody has their own unique attributes that keep the game interesting in that way. Their dialogue will slightly vary based on who you're playing as, and you start off with different skill tree attributes. So if you're the type of person that likes to get into the grind of the game and progressively max out all of the characters, this is something that you'll be doing that in. Whether or not you're going to actually spend the time maxing out all of your characters, though, is going to depend heavily on whether you enjoy this type of gameplay or not. And again, depending on if you've played the first game or not, all of that jank still carries over. And if you didn't enjoy it then, you're not really going to enjoy it now.
Bruh.
One of the glaring things you notice about going back to an older game like this is the loading screens, and they can be painful, dude, especially playing on older hardware like the 360. If I was playing on PC, the loading screens probably would have been near instant, but when I was going back to the 360, you have to load in new environments. So if you're going to a new part of the town, or you're going inside an interior that's heavily detailed for a main story quest, you'll have to wait for it to load, and then you start the mission once it all loads up, and then you gotta wait for it to load again when you exit the building. And if you accidentally went inside of one of these buildings when you didn't want to, that's 2 loading screens you gotta sit through. There's a lot of points peppered throughout the map where there's these little boss battles with these special mutated zombies, and they all have their own special little areas, and these are areas that have to load in whenever you want to do them. It's like little arenas that are separate from the map. The immersion's a little broken with the loading, but the main jank of the game is in the gameplay. Again, the movement can be a little awkward at times, the gravity can feel a little weird. There's some minor platforming segments in the game, and I'm glad that they're minor because it just really highlights the awkwardness of the gravity and everything. Generally, moving around is okay, but when it comes to actually platforming on higher sections in the map, jumping over boxes or climbing ladders, the game starts to slow down and get a little sloppy. For me, it was kind of hard to gauge fall damage. Like sometimes I would fall and think that I would really get hurt and I didn't, or I would think, oh, there won't be any fall damage from this at all, and there goes half my health. The vehicles that you can drive, like the trucks and the boats, are okay, but one thing I noticed from the boat sections is that you can't swim. It seems like in most games swimming is just a no-brainer, but in this game they were like, nah. Hardened survivors that have been able to survive a zombie outbreak? Yeah, sure, but we're not gonna let them swim. That would make too much sense. And while I do feel that the combat is fun for me personally, that doesn't change the fact that it's a little clunky. There's always been this ongoing conversation about how first-person melee combat is always a little clunky, and that comes into play here. Sometimes you just kind of misjudge how close you are to an enemy and miss your swings, or you're too close, and everything you do takes stamina, so you'll run out of stamina pretty easily when you're swinging in front of a huge crowd of enemies, and that can get a little frustrating when you're constantly out of stamina. When you're out of stamina, the zombies can just one-shot you down to the ground, and it can get a little overwhelming sometimes. And that really sucks because as you're moving along in the game and you're getting further ahead, you get bigger cash penalties for getting knocked down, so you're losing like 15 to 2,000 at a time, and it's like, man, I could have bought a lot of stuff with that. For me, the gameplay is fun. It was satisfying to get new weapon mods, and you're probably not going to see everything there is to see in one playthrough. I probably had like 15 weapon mods, and I only did like 5 of them in my whole playthrough, so there's quite a bit of variety to keep you interested. Not to mention nowadays you can get the game for $5, and for me that was a complete steal. I feel like for $5 it's more than worth the money, especially if you plan on doing it co-op with a friend like I did. These clay faces though might haunt you in your dreams, so don't say I didn't warn you about that. Outside of the clunk, I think it's a pretty damn good time, man. I got about 13 hours out of the story. If I was doing all of the side stuff and trying to get all of the mods, I would have spent a lot more time doing that. If you do decide to play it, I would recommend not playing Dead Island 1 and Riptide back to back because you'll probably burn yourself out. But taken on its own, I would say it's definitely worth a shot. If you need a little bit more help deciding on whether you should play this one or Dead Island 1 first, you can watch my retrospective I did on Dead Island 1 to get a better idea of what you're looking at, as well as the Dead Island 2 leaked gameplay build to get a glimpse of what we didn't get back in 2015. Thanks to the members for supporting this video. They'll be getting a look at all of the behind the scenes content for the skits and stuff in this video, and if that's got you curious, go support the members tab and you can as well. All that being said, guys, I gotta Dr. Seuss my motherfucking bathroom before my girlfriend gets home because it's a mess. I got a lot to clean up, so thanks for watching, but I gotta go do that now. So hopefully I'll see you in the next one, guys. It's been T. Come on, buddy. I'm gonna give you a shower. Later. This is about the extent of my creativity.
Did you coat your hands in Vaseline? Yeah.
Oh God.
And the guest list is closed, and the lost ones are left, and the dead locked